All right, a week out from the NFL trading deadline, and the 49ers have made a trade, and it is almost exactly the kind of trade that you would expect them to make, in that they're getting a player for more than just the end of this season. And of course, it's not a big name player, but someone who has some starting experience, a lot of starting experience with the New England Patriots, and who figures to be maybe not a starter for the 49ers, but certainly somebody in the rotation to help out the 8 guys, the 9 guys that they suit up on a weekly basis. Now, it's a little bit of give and take for the 49ers because they lose a player. Travis Gibson signs with the Carolina Panthers. He had been on the 49ers 53-man roster as an edge rusher. They took him down to the practice squad in order to promote Robert Beal Jr. And on Tuesday, the Carolina Panthers signed Travis Gibson off the 49ers practice squad. So they lose him and they acquire Keon White. Keon was acquired from the New England Patriots along with a 7th round pick for a 2026 6th round pick. So the 49ers acquire Keon White and a 7th rounder in 2026 and give up a 6th rounder in return. So a little bit about Keon White. 6'5", 285. He entered the NFL as a 2nd-round pick of the Patriots, number 46 overall. That was in the 2023 NFL draft. He played his college football, started off at Old Dominion, where he played 2 seasons. In 2019, had 19 tackles for loss. After the COVID year was basically canceled, he goes to Georgia Tech. And in his final year at Georgia Tech, which was the 2022 season, 7.5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss. Now, with the New England Patriots, certainly he had fallen out of favor this season after, as a rookie, he played in 16 games with 4 starts, played 49, so almost 50% of the time he was on the field, had 1 sack as a rookie. The second year had his best season in 2024. He played 75% of the snaps, roughly 3/4 of the time. 17 games, 13 starts, had 5 sacks, a career high. This year, 5 games, just 1 start, only 40% of the time that he was out there, and 0 sacks. So Keon White comes to the 49ers, and as I said, kind of part of that defensive line rotation. Right now, it looks like they're going to be without Bryce Huff for this upcoming game. Looks like they're going to be without Yetur Gross-Matos. So Keon White will report to Santa Clara on Wednesday. He'll have a physical, and the team, I'm sure, will announce that move, assuming, of course, that he passes the physical. So that trade confirmed through sources. And one other thing, couple other moves, all practice squad related. Cleveland Farrell rejoins the 49ers. He came to Santa Clara on a tryout along with 3 other defensive linemen. So Cleveland Farrell gets signed on the practice squad. The others who came in on tryouts on this day: Andrew Farmer, Kingsley Jonathan, and Casey Toohill. And with Farrell, former 1st-round pick of the Las Vegas Raiders. Actually, he was a 1st-round pick of the Oakland Raiders. Also played for Las Vegas, signed with the 49ers as a free agent in 2023, and did a good job as one of those players who's an edge rusher on 1st down, a defensive end on 1st down, moves inside a little bit, has some position flexibility. He had 3.5 sacks in 2023 and then signed with Washington in 2024. Basically had the same kind of season in 24 with Washington that he had with the 49ers the previous year. And then kind of has a difficult time finding his way this year, was with the LA Chargers for 1 game. They released him. He was a free agent. I think he spent some time on the practice squad, was a free agent. 49ers bring him in, and they sign him. So Cleveland Farrell is a guy that once he gets up to speed and gets his legs under him and gets his conditioning, could be a guy that the 49ers activate for game days up from the practice squad. The 49ers also made a couple of moves on the practice squad in addition to Cleveland Farrell. They sign Andre Dillard, re-sign Andre Dillard, if you will, because they signed him as a free agent in the offseason. backup offensive tackle, former first round pick of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they released Brandon Parker. So those are two veteran guys that the 49ers have kind of swapped out on their practice squad. So kind of a busy day as far as, certainly nothing that moves the needle too much. The trade off, losing Travis Gibson, signing Key or acquiring Keon White in a trade, um, probably not too huge of an improvement for the 49ers. Um, as I said, Keon White this was his third coaching staff with the New England Patriots, drafted under Bill Belichick. Jared Mayo was the coach last year, and this year under Mike Vrabel, just not really finding his way much into that defensive line rotation, 40% of the snap. So I would think that there's a pretty good chance that he will be up and active pretty early in his 49ers tenure as the 49ers look to uh, get him going, get him up to speed. One of the things that should be noted with him is that, as I mentioned, he was a draft pick in 2023. So, as we've talked a lot about, as a player, as where the 49ers are right now, they weren't going to trade, or at least their preference was not to trade for a player that would be only a half year rental, a player that they would only get for 8 or 9 games a season. They didn't want to give up anything for a player who was only going to help this year. We've talked a lot about that, and that is definitely the case here with Keon White. He the remainder of his contract for the 49ers this season is a little bit more than roughly 800,000 for the rest of the season. He is signed for the 2026 season at 1.8 million. So very manageable salary cap costs for next year as well. So 49ers get a guy that they will have here. Chris Kosarek will take him on, will coach him up the way they want to coach him up, and then next year, Keon White will be battling for a roster spot with the team with a $1.8 million salary. So it really goes in line with what we've been thinking about what the 49ers were looking for. Not a big name guy, a guy that had more time left on his contract. And, as we've said, any really good edge rusher team who have more than just this season under contract, teams aren't going to just give those guys up unless they've fallen out of favor. And it certainly appears as if the New England Patriots and this coaching staff was just like, okay, he's expendable. He was having a difficult time getting on the field this year. And so they figured they could get something out of him for the 2026 draft instead of just keeping him around for a couple years. So Keon White comes to the 49ers and signed through the 2026 season, and he will join a group of edge rushers that right now, I mean, the only healthy guy is Michael Williams, Robert Beal, Sam Okawanu is dealing with an ankle injury. Bryce Huff is dealing with a hamstring injury. Yetur Gross-Matos is dealing with a hamstring injury. So Keon White has an opportunity here right away to get on the field and make some sort of impact, certainly get some playing time. Keon White also plays special teams. So that's an area too where the 49ers can get him out there on the field. So 49ers are a team right now where it's going to be difficult for them, I think, as this week starts, just looking ahead to get 48 players who are healthy without putting somebody on injured reserve. And so Keon White certainly has a chance to at least have a specialized role, a very specific role in this upcoming Week 9 game against the New York Giants. So that's the news for this day. 49ers make a trade, another trade at the trading deadline for this organization. And I think, I did figure the 49ers, I think a lot of people figured the 49ers would make a trade because it's something that they've done repeatedly in the John Lynch era as general manager. And just to refresh, let's see, what's it been? Jimmy Garoppolo, year one, The next year, Emmanuel Sanders. The next year, Jordan Willis. The next year, Charles Omenihu. The year after that, it was Christian McCaffrey, of course, and it was Chase Young and Randy Gregory. And last year was Khalil Davis, who didn't even last. I know yeah, he didn't. They didn't even re-sign him. I'm not even sure he's in the league anymore. And then this year, so far, Keon White. And again, trading deadline ends on November 4th, so there's still time for the 49ers to pick up somebody else in a trade. I would expect if they do make another trade before the trading deadline next week, it'll be something very similar to this, where 49ers get a player and a pick in exchange for a pick. So I think we all figured edge rusher was their biggest need, and they filled it with a player, Keon White from the New England Patriots. Thanks for watching this video, and that is it for now.